Oh, there you are, YouTube. It's time to see Top Gun Maverick. So we are back from the theater, the IMAX more specifically, and I think that was a great way to see it. But first off, let's see, this movie I thought was fantastic. It was exciting. It gave us what the original film gave us. But it didn't feel frozen in time, and that's what I liked about it. It felt like sort of a wide range of decades. There was some 80s-ness to it, a lot of 90s, a lot of like 90s Michael Bay style happening as well. And, you know, I guess everything that's come after, just like what we come to expect from Tom Cruise these last, I don't know, 20 years, where he is out there doing, you know, wild stuff for our entertainment. So it was pretty interesting, the wide range in which this movie was bringing up memories, I guess, and I liked that. But what I liked about it was, even though it was sort of reaching back to the 80s and that original story and a lot of tie-ins with that original story, it wasn't overly contrived. It didn't feel completely frozen. While there were many callbacks in the movie, they all felt natural. But getting rid of some callbacks, because we do have, or refraining from doing some callbacks is maybe what I should say. Tom Cruise, Maverick's love interest, is different, and I think that makes sense because he's like in his early 20s or something, at least when he made the original Top Gun. So he's very young. He's going to have other love interests. The two of them in the original film, they were on sort of different career paths, so it makes sense that they did not end up together. And here we have, I guess spoilers here, Jennifer Connelly as the love interest. And what's nice about that is we are sort of given a history between the two of them very easily. It's very smooth in the way that they let us know that there's a history between the two of them. And it's almost as if there was the original Top Gun, then there was like a Top Gun 2 between the two of them, and then a Top Gun 3, which would be like Top Gun Maverick. It's just we never got Top Gun 2, which would be the story of Maverick and Jennifer Connelly. So, I don't know, I thought that was interesting because had they kept things the same with the love interest, everything would have felt a little frozen in time, I think. So this was a good way to show some progression for Maverick, and it makes sense because he was so young before and just on a different path. So he would have other women in his life. And it sounds like, I mean, I guess it doesn't say, but you would assume between his first encounters with Jennifer Connelly, her name's Penny in the movie, and now in the movie, you would think that there were probably other women as well, and this is, you know, him coming back. So I thought that was all really good and pushed the narrative forward and sort of like broke it away to where it's not a complete like rehashing. I don't know if that's the right word, that almost sounds too negative, but it made it so that the film wasn't overly frozen in time or attaching itself too strongly to the original film. But there are things that are, like Anthony Edwards' character Goose. This film very much surrounds his son, who in this movie is known as Rooster, another bird. That's kind of nice. So we're following him and Maverick and their sort of conflict that they have. They have a previous conflict even before this movie, not just the death of Goose. That's only part of it, but a conflict between the two of them where basically Maverick kept Rooster out of the Navy or Top Gun, or I can't remember what part of his military experience for, what was it, 4 years or 8 years or something like that. Really pulled him behind. So I guess that makes sense why he's sort of like an older person in Top Gun. If you know, I'm just thinking of like all the actors from the original one were like in their 20s, and I think Miles Teller's like in his 30s, so you know that makes some sense. Why his career is much later than you know some of the other people who are in Top Gun. So yeah, it so much of it parallels the original. A lot of things that are happening. The reluctancy to send Maverick back to Top Gun with Ed Harris's character was just like Mr. Strickland from Back to the Future films, who you know is in the original Top Gun. Like all of that was, there were a lot of things that were mirrored at the beginning. Like at the very beginning of the movie, it was almost like a shot-for-shot remake. Like we have this information that pops up on screen at the very beginning where it tells you what Top Gun is. It gives you like the definition basically, and then the term Top Gun. And that was all like shot for shot. That was so cool. The Jerry Bruckheimer logo, all original there, and Bruckheimer's producing partner, who's no longer with us. All of that was there. That was so cool to see. I loved all of that. It was almost like a shot for shot, but like with updated technology, I'm guessing. I don't know enough about planes or whatever, jets, but all of that was the same. And then bringing back that music, it was all so good. And it, I don't know, like I just saw Top Gun. I've known so much about Top Gun. Everybody does, even without having seen it, because it's so woven into the fabric of our culture that even when I just saw it, like what was it, last week, 2 weeks ago, I did a review for it. Feel free to check it out. It was just interesting to watch something I already knew so much about and then finally see it. And it was great to watch that in preparation for this. So I do recommend, if you are, I mean, everybody's already seen it. I'm late to the game here, and I wanted to make sure I saw it in IMAX. So that's why I made a point to see it this week, because Jurassic World 3 or 6 or whatever the movie's called, Dominion, is taking over IMAX screens, and I'm glad I saw it in IMAX. The IMAX sequences were great. I loved when that took over the entire screen. It was all good. The action was good. It wasn't confusing. I was able to keep up with what was going on. The mission that they're on was exciting, intense. My wife was saying, you know, her shoulders and back were tight, and she was, you know, finding herself clenching her fists, and it's very heartfelt. And there were times when I was looking at Tom Cruise and I was thinking, this is nothing new. Everybody says this, but in the original film, they played beach volleyball. Here, they're playing beach football. And there was a moment when I thought I was looking at archival footage of Tom Cruise. He looks that good. It's just amazing. He's the same age as my parents, and he's doing this stuff. It's like wild. I like to think of my parents doing this stuff, and it kind of makes me laugh a little bit. But yeah, it was all so good, and I love how many callbacks there were, but yet it didn't feel frozen in time. I thought that was great, and it's just like very, I don't know, optimistic, is that the word? Like joyful. The ending was just like great. I want to see Tom Cruise and Michael Bay work together, because I was getting a lot of Michael Bay vibes here. The original, directed by Tony Scott, they dedicated the film to him. Val Kilmer, I didn't know how much he was going to be in this movie. It was nice to see that he was in it, because so far I'd only really seen some promotional images of him from the film, but the promotional images were like a portrait of him that appears in the movie, and I was like, oh, okay, so he's going to be either like his Iceman's gonna be dead in the movie starting, or he's like just, you know, somewhere else and this we just get a picture of him or something. But we did actually get him in the movie, so that was awesome, because I hadn't heard either way how that was going to go. No Meg Ryan, but it was all around good. I'm talking quite a bit here, so let me just say I was a fan of it. It's definitely worth the watch in IMAX, and yeah, a sequel that really works, and it's just been doing really well. I think it made some history. It had one of the lowest percentage drops in box office numbers of any film, like from week 1 to week 2. It was strong. Second week, it barely dropped at all. It has legs, and it's Monday. I was there on a Monday, and it was packed. The IMAX was packed. Not fully packed. It wasn't fully packed, as in, you know, they were turning people away, but it was a very full theater on a Monday. So word of mouth is spreading. People want to see it. People are still seeing it, and I get it. I get why. It's a feel-good movie. They expanded the Best Picture Oscar to 10 films, and they did so for movies like this to get in. You know, The Dark Knight and WALL-E. So that really hasn't happened, though. Maybe in 2009 when we got District 9 and Avatar, you know. But I think this is a good movie for that, for the expanded field. This is stuff the Academy needs to start including, I think, because best can mean a lot of things. What this movie did from its small drop from week 1 to week 2 is an example of best picture, in my eyes. Best can mean a lot of things, and I think it can mean that, and it should mean that. So, yeah, I think it should be included. Obviously, there are a lot of movies yet to come out, so it could get knocked out, in my opinion, but right now, in my opinion, it should be included. Best can mean a lot of things. It can mean a lot of things. Okay, so, yeah, I keep rambling. I like the movie, all right? I like the movie. What'd you think of the movie? I'm ready to finally watch everybody else's reactions to it, because I've been trying to remain spoiler-free, so I'm excited to see the reactions. But anyway, perhaps I'll see you tomorrow for more Pure Hangout.